Hello, everyone. My name is Alexis Hutchinson, and this is the FYE Talks podcast. Remember to tune in every Tuesday and Thursday at 1 p.m. for another great episode. And today, we're really excited to bring on two very special guests, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and then we're going to begin talking about the Anti-Racism Book Club. So, whoever wants to start.
All right, I'll go first. My name is Maggie Brown, known to my students here at ECTC as Prof. Brown. I teach English, specifically English 101, English 102, Intro to Film, Intro to Lit, courses like that. And I'll turn it over to Ms. Lilligren.
Thank you. My name is Dina Lilligren. I also am an English professor at ECTC. I teach comp and creative writing mainly. And that's about it.
Awesome. So you guys have kind of spearheaded this project this semester. What made you want to start this book club, and who gave the idea? Who was, what was kind of the objectives that you wanted to meet when you started this project?
Well, education is by far our primary goal. I think race is something that a lot of people go by sort of word of mouth or gut instinct. And that's not really a good way to learn about the realities of race in our country. So, according to the Pew Research Center, when it comes to race, 77% of conservatives believe that the problem with race is that Black people are seeing discrimination where it doesn't exist. Whereas 78% of progressives believe that the problem with race is that we're not seeing the discrimination as it exists. So you can see we have vastly different views on whether race is even a problem. And education, we have the data, we have the information, we have the history. I'm not saying schools teach it, but we do have it. And so I think, you would have to be blind not to have seen what's been happening over the past 4 years, especially over the past year. So this is one thing that unified most of the domestic terrorists who attacked the Capitol and tried to overturn the election was this shared value of white nationalism. So we want to educate ourselves more, our fellow faculty and staff, and our students in a place where you can ask questions and have access to good information.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a fantastic goal. And I think that, as you mentioned, we can't have enough awareness. We can't have enough vocalization of how this is impacting people's lives. I mean, you see it, every day people are sharing their stories. And so have you seen this project gain a lot of traction this semester? Have you seen the participation that you hoped to see when you started?
I've been really happy about the participation. A book club is really something, it's a pretty big thing to commit to because, first of all, you have to read a book and everyone's really busy. Secondly, it's a really tough topic. The books that we read are hopefully upsetting to those of us who are reading them. And so it is uncomfortable and it forces us to confront our own biases and it's a time commitment. So I would say, like with any book club, some sessions are going to have more people in them. Sometimes, if you've ever been in a book club, you'll read one book and then maybe dip out on the next one and then catch up again when you have the time. So if anyone has not been attending, or maybe you attended once and you're worried that you missed the second one, it's you can jump in anytime. And even if you haven't read the book, you can still take part in the discussion and learn a lot and have fun.
Absolutely. And I think I've been really pleased with the participation so far. We do have decent attendance, certainly enough to have very vigorous conversations at all of our sessions so far. And I would say we've had even more participation shown by simply stating an interest in the book club. So the discussions themselves, partly for the reasons Dina already mentioned, are sometimes smaller groups, but we have had a sizable outpouring of people wanting to be added to our Blackboard organization. So I would also stress that in addition to participating in the discussions or in lieu of participating in the discussions, people, faculty, staff, students, anyone can join our Blackboard organization and see the additional resources that we have there and even participate in asynchronous discussion on discussion board. So there are ways to participate in addition to or even instead of coming to the actual discussions themselves. And I think we have approximately 40 people committed so far to being in the organization, and we're always looking for more.
Yeah, and I just want to add that if you have never been in a book club or you are maybe not comfortable talking to people on camera, we've had people who come attend and don't say anything at all and just listen, and that's fine too. We're
Yeah.
never going to put anyone on the spot. It's all it's more like a scramble for who can talk. We're not going to force you into anything.
Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. It sounds like it's very inclusive and very welcoming. And that's wonderful to have a space on campus where you can have discussions and you can hear other people's opinions and things like that. So that is awesome. And so how many books has the book club read so far, or how many do you hope to discuss, this semester? Kind of what are your goals as far as the actual books you plan to cover?
Great question. So we began the book club this academic year with a welcoming session where we had not even assigned a book yet at all. And then we so far have 2 books under our belt, so to speak. So we have already read a book called Rising Out of Hatred, The Awakening of a Former White Nationalist by Eli Saslow, that goes through the awakening process, if you will, of Derek Black, a prominent former white nationalist. And then this past book club, we discussed We Are Not Yet Equal by Carol Anderson. The subtitle of that book is Understanding Our Racial Divide. And in that one, we kind of moved from the first book where we were identifying some of the white nationalist ideology and its most recent genesis, and then coinciding, of course, with, as Dina mentioned, a lot of current events that we're seeing directly resulting from that. And in Carol Anderson's We Are Not Yet Equal, Understanding Our Racial Divide, we were getting at the historical context for these conversations. So those are the 2 books that we have under our belt so far that we've already discussed. And as I mentioned, there are lots of materials on those 2 books on our Blackboard organization. So even if you missed those, you could still take part in that way. So coming up, our very next book club session. So at this point, we're doing approximately 1 book per month. So our next book is called Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates. Sorry, I mispronounced it. It's Ta-Nehisi. I keep getting that wrong. So Ta-Nehisi Coates, Between the World and Me. So that's our next upcoming one that is on Thursday, February 25th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. All of our sessions are Thursday evening, 6:30 to 8 p.m. in our Blackboard organization. So that's the next one, is February 25th, Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates. And then Thursday, March 25th, we have Ijeoma Oluo's So You Want to Talk About Race. So those are our upcoming for the semester February and March sessions. And then in April, we will have an end of year reflection, looking back, looking ahead. And so we're hoping to establish, partly based on people's recommendations, a series of books to keep the discussion going next year as well.
Well, that's
Yeah,
wonderful.
Could I just add one thing?
Absolutely.
Thanks. And the books that we selected in a specific order intentionally. You definitely don't have to read all of them or read them in order. But I really think that Derek Black's Rising Out of Hatred is such a great book to start with, especially if you are starting to be drawn to conspiracy theories, if you find yourself identifying more with the terrorists on the steps of the Capitol, this is a great book because it's from Derek Black's point of view, and he was a very prominent white nationalist. And he explains how he personally set up a lot of the mechanisms that are at work behind this kind of mindset and behind those conspiracy theories, behind the ideas, about reverse discrimination. And he shows how through research and an honest investigation, he was able to discover that he was deeply, deeply wrong. And I think that's such a great starting point for people.
When I think that's especially, at a community college, I feel like we get obviously a very diverse group of students, and you do have a large portion that are coming straight out of high school trying to learn, about the world and the world around them. And so I would highly encourage everyone to participate in this book club and, educate yourself. Make sure that you're taking proactive steps to know the world around you, the people around you, how everybody has value. And so I think that this is a very excellent forum to begin having those discussions and really bringing accurate, good information to students, staff, faculty about, just the world around them in general and the people who fill it and make it so wonderful. And so, are you seeing a lot of student participation? Are you seeing a lot of students interested in this book club and this forum and kind of learning more about topics that they may have not had a lot of exposure to previously?
We have had some students express interest. We haven't had any student attendance yet, and I think there are a lot of reasons for that. But I would love to see more students.
Yes.
I hope that no one is intimidated because we're just a nice group of readers trying to have a conversation, and we would love to have students. Absolutely.
We really would. And I would add that I think that is what is currently missing from our book club. It is going really well, but we really do want to add the student perspective here. And I would just kind of point out too that we do have a kind of motto of sorts to try to guide us. And our discussions, even though we understand that they can be potentially uncomfortable, that being willing to experience a little bit of discomfort is part of our goal. But we are a safe and friendly environment. So the quotation that I keep coming back to over and over as a kind of touchstone to guide our conversations is from another powerful anti-racist educator, Dr. Ibram X. Kendi, who says the only way to undo racism is to consistently identify and describe it and then dismantle it. So again, I want everyone to see this as a safe space to explore identifying and describing racism with the goal of dismantling it.
And that's fantastic. I think that when you give people the space to ask the questions and, like you said, have those tough conversations, you can't grow without discomfort. So I really hope that we see a lot more student participation. And I would encourage all our listeners to check out the Anti-Racism Book Club. You meet once a month, 6:30 to 8 p.m. And so how can students get involved? If they would like to join the book club, can they email someone or is there a drop form?
Yes, they can email either of us, and we'll get them added to the organization on Blackboard, where they can access the discussion board and other materials. We do have a few free copies of the books for students if a student is unable to purchase that book as well. And students can contact me, Dina Lilligren, about that if they're interested.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on the podcast and exploring this project that you've been working on in this wonderful book club. And we're so happy to have this on campus as a resource and as a safe space for learning and education. And so thank you so much. And we hope that many, many students join this organization. If you're thinking about, what can I do during this pandemic to stay engaged on campus and to learn more and educate myself, this is an excellent resource.
Thank you for having us,
Thank
Alexis.
you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And so check out the FYE Talks podcast every Tuesday and Thursday at 1 p.m. We have awesome episodes just like this one that you can check out, chock full of information. And we hope to see you guys back on the podcast.